The narcissist body shakes in pain when an empath does these 8 horrible things. For far too long, you have lived under the shadow of a narcissist's unpredictable whims, their cutting words, and their chilling manipulations. You've felt your energy draining away, your self-worth eroding, and your very perception of reality twisting under their influence. The pain they inflict feels limitless, leaving you to believe that you are perpetually at their mercy, forever vulnerable to their next move. You might find yourself constantly walking on eggshells, desperately trying to anticipate their next emotional explosion or their latest insidious tactic, feeling utterly powerless in the face of their disordered personality. But what if the tables could be turned, not through malice or vengeance, but through acts of profound self-preservation and unwavering authenticity? What if the very qualities that define an empath, your deep intuition, your inherent connection to truth, your capacity for genuine self-love, could, when deliberately engaged, trigger such an intense, unbearable psychological distress within the narcissist that their entire false self begins to crumble? What if their seemingly impenetrable facade conceals a profound fragility, a vulnerability so acute that specific, strategic actions on your part could make their entire being shake in pain, forcing them to abandon their pursuit of you for good? It sounds dramatic, perhaps even impossible, given the absolute power you might feel they hold over you. Yet, from a deeply informed psychological perspective, there are indeed precise actions, often perceived as horrible by the narcissist themselves, because they directly attack the very core of their disorder. These are not acts of cruelty on your part. They are acts of profound self-love and radical boundary setting. When an empath, a person of deep feeling and intuition, performs these actions, it creates such an unbearable narcissistic injury that the narcissist experiences what can only be described as intense internal agony, leading to their desperate retreat. In this crucial and profoundly empowering discussion, we are going to courageously delve into 8 specific horrible things, from the narcissist's twisted perspective, that an empath can do to trigger such immense psychological pain within them, forcing them to ultimately release their grip. Understanding these dynamics is not about seeking revenge. It's about illuminating the precise pathways to your liberation, validating your inherent strengths, and empowering you to step fully into your power, leaving the narcissist's influence behind forever. Welcome back, truth seekers, to a conversation that promises to shed light on some of the most profound psychological truths about narcissistic dynamics. If you've ever wondered how to truly disarm a narcissist, how to make them back down, or how to break free from their insidious hold, this discussion is absolutely vital for you. As we delve into these powerful insights, please remember to hit that like button, share this video with anyone else who might desperately need this enlightenment, and subscribe to our channel to join our growing community committed to understanding and healing from narcissistic abuse. Let's begin by understanding that when we say the narcissist's body shakes in pain, we are speaking metaphorically and psychologically. We are not referring to physical tremors or malicious intent on your part. Instead, we are describing the profound internal anguish, the intense narcissistic injury, the seething rage, and the terrifying dysregulation that occurs within the narcissist when their core pathological needs are denied, their false self is threatened, and their carefully constructed world is shattered. These horrible things from the empath's side are, in reality, acts of radical self-preservation and boundary enforcement that are utterly devastating to the narcissist's fragile ego. The empath refuses to react emotionally, mastering the gray rock method. Perhaps the most potent and agonizing horrible thing an empath can do, causing immense psychological pain to a narcissist, is to master and consistently apply the gray rock method, a systematic, unwavering refusal to react emotionally to anything the narcissist says or does. Imagine a narcissist as a parasitic entity that feeds on emotional energy. They thrive on your anger, your tears, your fear, your frustration, your pleading, or even your loving concern. Every emotional response, whether positive or negative, is a form of vital narcissistic supply that validates their existence and confirms their power. Psychologically, the narcissist lacks an internal mechanism for emotional regulation. They cannot generate genuine self-worth from within, nor can they process complex emotions effectively. They rely entirely on external validation, on provoking reactions from others, to stabilize their fragile ego and affirm their sense of self. When an empath consistently becomes an unresponsive gray rock, offering only short, factual, and utterly emotionless replies, avoiding eye contact that conveys connection, and showing no discernible emotional investment in the narcissist drama, you are systematically starving them of the crucial supply they crave. This is excruciating for them because their primary mode of operation is rendered completely ineffective. They cannot provoke you, cannot control your emotional state, and cannot use your responses to validate their perceived power or offload their internal turmoil. Their desperate attempts to elicit a reaction become futile, leading to immense frustration, profound narcissistic injury, and a terrifying sense of invisibility. They will perceive you as boring, unresponsive, or even dead to them, and because they derive no satisfaction or fuel from your presence, their entire being convulses in a form of psychological agony. This ultimately compels them to retreat to find a more emotionally reactive, and thus more profitable source of supply. Your consistent emotional neutrality is a direct assault on their primary need, systematically draining their lifeblood, and making you an unviable, agonizing target. 2. The empath sets and enforces unbreakable boundaries. Another profoundly painful, horrible thing an empath can do to a narcissist is to steadfastly set and unflinchingly enforce unbreakable boundaries. For a narcissist, boundaries are not respected. They are seen as challenges to their absolute authority, tests to be pushed, and obstacles to be bulldozed. Your firm no is a direct assault on their pathological sense of entitlement and their insatiable need for control. Psychologically, narcissists possess a pervasive and grandiose sense of entitlement, believing they are inherently superior and deserve special treatment, boundless admiration, and unquestioning obedience. They view others as extensions of themselves, objects whose sole purpose is to serve their needs. When an empath, empowered by newfound self-respect, clearly defines and rigidly enforces personal boundaries, whether it's refusing late-night calls, saying no to unreasonable demands, protecting their financial independence, or limiting exposure to abusive behavior, they are directly challenging this core entitlement. Each boundary asserted and upheld sends a clear message to the narcissist: you do not control me. My needs matter. You are not entitled to everything from me. This triggers intense narcissistic rage, profound frustration, and a terrifying feeling of being powerless. They cannot tolerate having their will thwarted. Their false self, which relies on absolute control, begins to shake as they realize their manipulations are failing. This psychological pain is immense because it forces them to confront their own limitations and their inability to dominate another person's autonomy. The empath's unwavering boundaries become an impenetrable wall against which the narcissist repeatedly crashes, causing them such internal agony and frustration that they will eventually abandon the effort and seek an easier, more compliant target. 3. The empath exposes their lies calmly and factually. A particularly agonizing and horrible thing for a narcissist is when an empath, with composure and verifiable truth, calmly and factually exposes their lies, their inconsistencies, and their abusive behaviors to a wider, informed audience, but only when it is genuinely safe to do so. A narcissist lives in a meticulously crafted false reality, and their public image is paramount to their psychological survival. Psychologically, the narcissist's entire existence is built upon a grandiose, fabricated false self that they present to the world. Their reputation is everything, as it is a constant source of external validation or supply. They rely on secrecy and isolation to perpetuate their deception, carefully curating their image while abusing others behind closed doors. When an e-port, having carefully collected evidence, screenshots, documented conversations, witnesses, calmly and factually reveals their true nature to trusted friends, family, or even professionals who the narcissist holds in high regard, it constitutes a direct, devastating threat to their public image and their control over the narrative. This causes immediate and profound narcissistic injury, overwhelming shame, which they quickly convert into blinding rage, and a terrifying fear of exposure. The narcissist's body metaphorically shakes in pain because their carefully constructed illusion is crumbling. They will perceive this as a catastrophic betrayal, an existential threat to their very identity. Their lies are being laid bare, and their manipulative tactics are being recognized by credible sources. This forces them to retreat because they can no longer operate in the shadow. The cost of maintaining their false image becomes too high, and the psychological pain of being seen for who they truly are is unbearable. Your calm truth becomes their ultimate kryptonite, forcing them into a strategic retreat from that specific environment, or compelling them to abandon attempts to control you, as the effort to maintain their deceit becomes futile and agonizing. 4. The empath prioritizes their own healing and thrives independently. Perhaps one of the most existentially painful and horrible things for a narcissist to witness is when an empath visibly prioritizes their own healing, reclaims their life, and begins to genuinely flourish and thrive independently, far removed from their influence. A narcissist thrives on seeing their victims broken, struggling, and dependent on them. Your peace, your joy, and your success without them are an intolerable affront. Psychologically, the narcissist harbors profound envy and a pathological need to feel indispensable. They believe they have the power to destroy others, and they derive immense, albeit twisted, sadistic supply from your suffering, your genuine healing, your newfound serenity, your restored self-esteem, and your evident success in building a fulfilling life directly challenge their perceived power and their warped sense of importance. This triggers intense narcissistic injury, bitter envy, and a crushing sense of irrelevance. The narcissist's entire being metaphorically shakes in pain because your thriving presence becomes a living, breathing testament to their ultimate irrelevance and their utter failure to control or destroy you. It proves that their abuse did not break you, and that you are capable of deriving worth and happiness from within yourself, something they fundamentally cannot do. Your independence signifies their utter failure to permanently damage you. This psychological pain is unbearable, compelling them to abandon you as a target. They will retreat to find new, more vulnerable individuals whom they can successfully damage and control, rather than be perpetually confronted with the agonizing proof of your liberation and their own impotence. 5. The empath refuses to take responsibility for the narcissist's emotions or actions. A particularly frustrating and ultimately compelling horrible thing that makes a narcissist's body metaphorically shake in pain is when an empath steadfastly refuses to take any responsibility for their emotions, their choices, their dysfunctional behaviors, or their reactions. A narcissist pathologically externalizes all blame, shame, and negative emotions onto others. Psychologically, narcissists are incapable of self-reflection or taking genuine responsibility for their flaws. Their fragile ego cannot tolerate self-blame, as it would expose their core shame. They rely on projecting their internal chaos and their own shortcomings onto you, their primary target. When an empath, having learned to discern the truth, calmly but firmly states, "That's your feeling, not mine," or "I am not responsible for your behavior," or "Your reaction is your own choice, not my fault," they are effectively refusing to carry the narcissist's emotional baggage. This directly counters the narcissist's primary defense mechanism, causing it to catastrophically fail. This triggers intense narcissistic rage and profound confusion, because their projection mechanism is rendered ineffective. Their being metaphorically shakes in pain because they are left holding their own unbearable shame and responsibility, a burden they find intolerable and inherently reject. They may initially escalate their blame shifting, but if the empath consistently refuses to engage in this insidious dance, the narcissist will eventually realize they cannot offload their internal torment onto you. Your unwavering refusal to participate in their blame game forces them to confront the very aspects of themselves they are desperately trying to avoid, compelling them to retreat and seek someone else to carry their emotional burdens. 6. The empath withdraws all narcissistic supply, goes no contact. The absolute ultimate and most devastating, horrible thing an empath can do, which truly makes a narcissist's body metaphorically shake in pain, is to completely withdraw all narcissistic supply by going absolute no contact. This isn't just disengagement, it's a complete and permanent severance of all ties, drying up their lifeblood. Psychologically, a narcissist's entire existence hinges on a constant, uninterrupted flow of external validation or supply. This supply, whether positive, admiration, praise, attention, or negative, fear, anger, tears, drama, is the oxygen that sustains their fragile false self and masks their profound internal emptiness. When an empath, empowered by the understanding of this pathological need, implements no contact with absolute resolve, blocking them on all communication platforms, avoiding all physical encounters, disengaging from flying monkeys, and refusing to respond to any Hoover attempts, they are effectively cutting off the narcissist's oxygen. This causes immediate and profound narcissistic injury, triggering intense panic, seething rage, and a terrifying confrontation with their own internal void. Their entire being metaphorically shakes in pain from the sudden and complete deprivation of their vital fuel. Each failed attempt to break through the empath's impenetrable barrier deepens their frustration and confirms their complete loss of control. When the narcissist truly realizes the empath is genuinely unreachable, when there is zero supply to be gained, and when all their manipulative efforts yield no results, they are left facing the terrifying reality of their own internal barrenness. This forces them to abandon the empath and desperately seek new, more accessible sources of supply, because their very psychological survival depends on it. The empath's unwavering commitment to no contact is the ultimate psychological checkmate, compelling the narcissist to retreat from a source that has become agonizingly barren. 7. The empath shows genuine indifference to their new supply and new life. A particularly infuriating and deeply painful, horrible thing for a narcissist is when an empath demonstrates genuine indifference to their new sources of narcissistic supply, their new relationships, or their supposed new life after the breakup. The narcissist desperately wants to provoke jealousy, envy, or competition from their former target. Psychologically, the narcissist lives for validation, and a key part of that validation comes from the perceived emotional impact they have on others, especially their ex-partners. They thrive on the idea that you are still devastated by their absence, still pining, or still threatened by their new relationships, as this confirms their desirability, their power, and their continued relevance. When an empath, through their healing journey, genuinely achieves an authentic state of indifference, showing no emotional reaction to the narcissist's new conquests, no interest in their fabricated new life, and absolutely no desire to compete or comment, they are denying them a massive source of supply. This causes intense narcissistic injury and profound frustration. The narcissist's being metaphorically shakes in pain because your genuine indifference signals that they no longer hold any power over you, that you have truly moved on, and that their attempts to make you jealous or provoke a reaction are failing spectacularly. Your complete lack of emotional investment in their new relationships renders them utterly irrelevant in your life, which is an unbearable affront to their grandiose ego. This compels them to abandon you for someone who will still provide them with that crucial emotional feedback and competitive validation, as they cannot tolerate being ignored or seen as irrelevant. 8. The empath achieves radical self-acceptance and self-love. Finally, the most profound and encompassing horrible thing an empath can do that truly makes a narcissist's body metaphorically shake in pain is to achieve radical self-acceptance and cultivate unwavering self-love, making themselves utterly immune to the narcissist's manipulation and criticism. This isn't just an action, it's a fundamental transformation of being. Psychologically, the narcissist operates from a place of profound self-loathing, masked by a grandiose facade. They cannot truly love themselves or experience genuine inner peace. They thrive on diminishing others to elevate themselves and constantly seek external validation to fill their internal void. When an empath embarks on a journey of deep self-love, prioritizing their mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being above all else. They create an internal fortress impenetrable by narcissistic attacks. This means consistently upholding boundaries, nurturing healthy relationships, pursuing passions, and living authentically, deriving validation from within. This level of self-love and self-sufficiency is an ultimate affront to the narcissist. It proves that the empath does not need them for validation, happiness, or purpose, and that their abuse did not break them. The narcissist's entire being metaphorically shakes in pain because they are confronted with someone who is entirely self-sustaining, utterly immune to their manipulations, and fundamentally unavailable as a source of supply. Your radiant peace, your unshakable self-love, and your complete autonomy become a powerful, living testament to your ultimate liberation and their utter powerlessness over you. This reality is so agonizing and threatening to the narcissist's ego that it compels them to permanently abandon the pursuit and seek out new, more vulnerable targets to fuel their unending pathology. The empath's genuine self-love renders the narcissist completely irrelevant and utterly powerless, leading to their ultimate retreat. The journey through narcissistic abuse is undeniably one of the most challenging experiences a human being can face. Yet, understanding these 8 profound psychological truths, these horrible things from the narcissist's perspective, offers you an unparalleled pathway to true liberation. It is not about fighting fire with fire, but about strategically extinguishing their fuel supply and dismantling the very foundations of their dysfunctional existence. By consistently refusing to react emotionally, setting and enforcing unbreakable boundaries, calmly exposing their lies when safe, prioritizing your own healing and flourishing, refusing to internalize their blame, withdrawing all narcissistic supply through no contact, showing genuine indifference to their new life, and most powerfully, cultivating radical self-acceptance and unwavering self-love, you are taking back every ounce of power they ever tried to steal. You are creating such an unbearable psychological landscape for the narcissist that their only option is to retreat, leaving you finally truly and irrevocably free. Your strength lies not in enduring their abuse, but in your courageous choice to protect your precious empathy and direct your authentic love towards yourself and those who genuinely reciprocate it. Embrace these strategies, commit to your healing, and reclaim the vibrant, peaceful life you so richly deserve. Thank you for joining us on this vital journey of insight and empowerment. If this video has resonated deeply with you, or if you believe it could bring crucial understanding and a clear path forward to someone you know, please share it widely and with intention. Let's continue to illuminate the path toward healing and authentic connection for everyone. And please, hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more guidance on your path to recovery. Until next time, stay strong, stay aware, and keep prioritizing your profound peace.